That was good.
All right, Rex. Yeah, what do you
Oh
think?
man. I liked gosh, there's so much I liked. I liked how you said catch the moments where we feel like a kind of a physical reaction. Like you were saying, you get a tightening of the throat,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember early in my relationship noticing things like that with my wife, where I would have certain reactions, and I've said this before, but I just there's a moment in time that sticks out of my marriage that really I felt like was like an epoch or a turning point, where I think we were married like a year or two, and I came home. I was a teacher at the time, and I was stressed out, and I was probably Tasmanian devil. And my wife goes, "What's wrong? Like, what are you upset about?" And I remember walking to the other room away from her and thinking, I don't know. No one's ever asked. And like you're saying, that you really have to pay attention to your emotions and learn to start recognizing what is bothering me right now. Why am I angry? Am I sad? Am I upset? What is it? And that was that moment for me where I learned to start paying attention to what throughout the day was bugging me so that I could actually connect with my wife and
Mm.
not bring garbage with me and not know what was in the bag and just dump it out everywhere and then be a part of the problem. So I loved how you shared that. Do you have is there any way that people can help like be more aware of their feelings at the moment and start doing that?
Ooh, I think that is just golden. I think I'm so glad that you brought that up because what it makes me think about is with my, heterosexual couples, there's often this pattern where she's like, what's wrong? And he's like, nothing. And she feels crazy because she's like, no, 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 like I know darn well something's going on. But to your point, Rex, his nothing, it's not him gaslighting her and putting that in quotes. He's not gaslighting her. It may truly be that he does not know. Did not grow up in a home where people were noticing his cues or asking him to kind of like hold up that mirror or talk about what was going on inside of him. So it might be that he does not know how to do this. So that's a very, very different reframe because then this marriage, what we were saying before, this marriage becomes the classroom whereby he gets to learn a new skill. And you're saying, Rex, I think you gave the answer to this. What you did was you started to track your mood, your emotions, your energy throughout the day so that then when your wife checked in on you, it wasn't like okay, wait, let me like land in my body and see what the heck is going on. You had sort
Yeah.
of been keeping a little tally, a little, side commentary throughout the day. So you had something to report. So I think it really is that. It may be that I could imagine somebody setting a timer on their phone or like a little calendar invite, 3 times throughout the day where it's like, take literally a minute, put your feet on the floor, put your hands on your thighs, close your eyes and just scan, like settle in your body for a moment. Notice what's going on inside of you and write down whatever, 3 to 5 words and then go back to your business. But it has to be those practices kind of when nothing's going on so that then when something is going on, that's when your training comes into, really benefits you. Or then when somebody asks you what's going on, you have a better sense.
Yeah, I think for men it's tough too because especially my generation where we're taught like, oh, ignore your feelings. Like I went to military school,
Yeah.
and if you had feelings there,
Mm-mm.
oh man, it was the end. But just like letting my guard down and starting to realize, okay, I do have feelings, and what are they? Like even just recognizing and labeling them was such a big thing for me, and then tracing back where, okay, why did I get upset, or why was I happy, or why was I excited, or what is making me anxious, and learning to tie a thread to those things and then actually have conversations with my wife where I let my guard down and I was myself.
Yeah. And then my gosh, and then if and when a partner like Rex, where this is like kind of a growing edge, when a partner labels a feeling or opens up about something, that is a gift. Like imagine it like this glowing golden orb and just don't give advice. Don't say it's not a big deal. Like don't do a darn thing with it besides just look at it. Just be present with it, right? Don't try to, I think that's the other thing too, is that, we have all these women who are like, I want my man to open up. But then it's like, okay, so when he does, meet that moment and just breathe and just don't do anything with it. It's not there for you to fix or advise on or say, put it on a scale of how big or small a deal it is, So I think it's a 2-part thing,
Wow.
That's where saying less comes in right there, right, Alexandra?
That's where what?
Where saying less comes in.
Saying less.
So helpful.
Very helpful.
Right? I could leave this unspoken. I could leave this unsaid. This analogy of his family of origin and how that might be
right. This is because of your mother. Right. No.
Yes.
Return to sender. That's something I have learned, especially from Dave, is that sometimes things are just better left unsaid.
Yep.
And identifying a feeling and then being like, do I really need to say it? No, I don't. This is just a moment. It'll pass, and everything's fine. Yeah, it's just learning to keep my mouth shut. And like Liz said, I'm making analogies about the family of origin, which was something that came up often in my early marriage.
Oh, sure. Right. Well, yeah, somebody starts, that's the other thing too. If one person's starting to listen to podcasts and putting this stuff together, right, then it's like, oh, I have your whole family figured out. No. Stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. Yeah.
So true. Okay. Oh, something else he talked about that I thought was really, really cool was, relationship stagnation and having to create new experiences. And I liked hearing the story about your husband found this really good restaurant that you hadn't been to before. Like creating novelty for a relationship and having a new experience. And I can tell you, though, being somebody who's so prepared all the time and I like to see what's coming and I know what I like and I like what I know, how can somebody become comfortable with novelty where they're not like stressing out when something's new? Because that can be difficult for me.
I guess we'd have to first figure out what is it about novelty that feels so darn uncomfortable, But I was thinking about when the thing about novelty or trying something new is that literally nobody knows how it's going to go. So the only way it's safe to try novelty is if everybody agrees that this is a success regardless of the outcome. It's a success if we love it. It's a success if we hate it, because the success was that we agreed to step outside of our comfort zone. So if part of Rex for you, what makes it uncomfortable to try something new is that you worry if it goes poorly, I'll be hard on myself, or if it goes poorly, I'm going to have somebody be disappointed in me, which, that's a horrible feeling to feel like people are disappointed in you. Then it makes total sense to stick with what you know. So there has to be a relational agreement that we're trying this new thing with absolutely, by definition, we can't know how it's going to go. And we're going to laugh whether we love it or whether we hate it. Either way, it's all good.
I love that, because I'm somebody who embraces the idea of there's something to learn from failure, that even failing is a learning experience. Mm-hmm. And you saying like, just accept that you're both going to, you're going to have a good time anyways and learn something from that, even if it's a complete failure or disaster, or it wasn't that comfortable. Yeah. I like that you played it like that and said it like that. Mm-hmm. That really helps. Mm-hmm. I would say that my worry comes from my family of origin and growing up very anxious and never knowing, like you said this earlier, and it just really, it just stuck to me, is when is the other shoe going to drop? And I remember growing up and always having certain fears and wonders about that kind of stuff. And that really does affect the future, or your how you relate to other people and situations. Sure.
You make your world small. You make your world small enough that you don't have to have that feeling. Yeah.
It's small enough and manageable.
Totally. Right. Yeah. The way I imagine that for you, Rex, is like when you're in that moment that you take a moment to connect with, like little Rex, like young Rex, and you tell that guy like, okay, buddy, like you're going to go, I'm going to, put him somewhere really safe, put him in his favorite spot. 'Cause like, we're about to do something new. And that is not, little boy Rex, he likes to hang in his comfort zone. But like man Rex, empowered man Rex can go do something novel and be curious about it and have this no failure attitude. But of course, that's not what the little Rex can do. No, he needs to keep it all tight and super safe. So he doesn't have to go. He can, he can just tuck in, or he can tuck in behind you and kind of watch from a safe spot, but that, like, I love that. I do that. I connect a lot with my the young version of me when I'm about to go do some, whatever, big media thing or get on a stage. You know, I connect with like the little version of myself who that's not her business. That's not her journey. She can go be somewhere safe while I do the thing that's scary or threatening or overwhelming.
Nice.
That
I like that.
is a really cool picture to paint and a little thing to play out. I love that. Thank you so much. Do I owe you anything for this session?
That's
That's right.
Wow. Thank you so much.
Great tip for all of us. Thank you.
Yeah, that's great.
Does anybody else have any questions?
You know, I forgot about Dr. Ruth. That's exactly where it started for me too.
Did it really?
So oh yes. Oh yeah. I was fascinated by her. Yeah. And then Dr. Laura followed pretty closely and still kind of like her a little bit. So yeah, it was just so interesting. And even my mother's, was it Mother's Day, Women's Journal, Women's Day? I don't know, something about, he said, she said. It was an article he'd read. You know, it was a therapist.
Totally.
So he talked about
I know what you mean.
Story and her story anyway. So
do you know?
It's funny. It's been a long time of studying and interest.
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a beautiful documentary about Dr. Ruth's life called Ask Dr. Ruth. And then her final book, she wrote 45 books in her lifetime. And her last one came out posthumously, and it's co-written with a woman named Alison Gilbert. And it's all about the epidemic of loneliness. And she, in fact, before she passed, Dr. Ruth was made the ambassador of loneliness for New York State. And she had wanted her whole life to study loneliness and social connection because she had grown up in an orphanage during the Holocaust. And she said, but it took me years to get to the point of being able to study loneliness because I had to help women have orgasms first. And then I could get into it. So she finally got to write a book about, and this co-author, I had a conversation with her, and this co-author, Alison Gilbert, is wonderful. And she developed a friendship with Dr. Ruth as they were writing this book together. And one of the tips actually for how you combat loneliness is something that she learned from Dr. Ruth, which was every time the two of them would get together, at the end of the visit, Dr. Ruth would say, "When do I get to see you again?" And I thought, how much would all of our relationships be better if we would end our visits with, "When do I get to see you again?"
That is touching. That just brings me to tears, actually. That's very, very touching.
Me too.
Oh, beautiful. Oh, that was a beautiful way to end.
Alexandra, when will we get to see each other again?
Well, we already figured out our next podcast is about sex. So
bring us next to you back. Yes, I'll be reaching out and we'll set up another one soon.
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on the show today and sharing all this. This was just amazing and beautiful.
So fun.
Great to be with all of you.
Yeah, it's fun to make a new friend, Alexandra.
That's right.
And happy holidays to you and your family. Enjoy the college kids.
Yes.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I hope you all have good holidays too.
Thanks for joining us today. Hey, do us a favor and take a second to subscribe to our podcast and the Utah Marriage Commission YouTube channel at Utah Marriage Commission, where you can watch this and every episode of the show. Be sure to smash the like button, leave a comment, and share this episode with a friend. You can also follow and interact with us on Instagram at Stronger Marriage Life and Facebook at Stronger Marriage. So be sure to share with us which topics you loved or which guests we should have on the show next. If you want even more resources to improve your marriage or relationship connection, visit strongermarriage.org, where you'll find free workshops, e-courses, in-depth webinars, relationship surveys, and more. Each episode of Stronger Marriage Connection is hosted and sponsored by the Utah Marriage Commission at Utah State University. And finally, a big thanks to our producer, Rex Bolanos, and the team at Utah State University, and you, our audience. You make this show possible. The opinions, findings, conclusions, and recommendations expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views of the Utah Marriage Commission.